Okay, so let's get right into this. This is straight off the presses. This was actually released by the SSA at 4:50 p.m. today. And what you need to know is this. I originally created this video and did the, YouTube thumbnail and everything ahead of time. But then amazingly, on the exact topic that is relevant for this video, they came out with a release specifically on what's going to be happening going forward. Now, I'm going to be very straightforward with you. The Social Security Administration is in a horrible crisis when it comes to employment. They don't have enough employees to run their front offices in the way in which they used to. Now, we're going to read through this letter, and then I'm going to go ahead and explain to you exactly what it means throughout the process of it. The benefit or thing that has now become more restricted is your ability to go to the actual local field offices and be allowed to enter the building and see somebody. That's being ended. It was supposed to end at the end of December of this year. However, today, as hot as news gets, as big as news is, it was released. Dear colleague, in our ongoing commitment to serve the public more efficiently, the Social Security Administration is implementing appointment-based services nationwide at our local Social Security offices. By scheduling appointments, we will reduce wait time, streamline service delivery, and improve the overall customer experience. Nearly 400 field offices have already moved to appointment-based service this year. These offices have significant improvement in wait times due to more efficient and helpful visitor experiences and increases in the number of customers able to complete their business online with their My Social Security account. Effective immediately, meaning you don't have a choice in it. It's happening. It's not happening at the end of the year. It's happening right now. This was released today at 4:50 p.m., 10 minutes before the law firm closed. Effective immediately, we will require customers to schedule an appointment for service in all field offices, including requests for Social Security cards. We encourage customers to use our online services where many transactions can be completed conveniently and securely, and also automated services available on our national 800 number, 800-772-1213. Customers who are not able to handle their business online or with the automated options may call their local Social Security office or a national 800 number to schedule an appointment. As a reminder, most appointments can be done over the telephone and do not require a customer to walk into an office for service. Now, here's the important part. Here's the waiver. Here's basically where they're saying, hey, even though we're blocking you from having service in the future from just walking in and getting it, you'll have to set an appointment. Here are certain categories of individuals that we're still going to allow into our actual local field offices. We want to make clear that we will not turn people away for service who are unable to make an appointment. For example, members of vulnerable populations, usually when they say that, they mean homeless or they mean Native American, things like that. Military personnel, people with terminal illnesses, and individuals with other situations requiring immediate or specialized attention may still walk in for service at our field offices. But if you're not one of those, expect to be turned away from the Social Security Administration until you call and set an appointment. Here's the kicker, though. In order to set an appointment, you're probably going to have to wait, potentially a week, weeks, month, whatever, depending on what they actually have available at that field office. We appreciate your partnership in sharing this information and helping our customers through this transition. Thank you for your continued support as we work together to improve service accessibility and responsiveness. All right, here's the bottom line. This was released today, literally 10 minutes before the law firm was going to go ahead and close for the day. What does it mean? The SSA is so low on employees. Now, I know some of you believe that this is all part of a situation where, both Republicans and Democrats are trying to kill the Social Security Administration. And I'm not totally sold off of that. I'm a big fan of conspiracy theories, especially over the past 6 to 8 years. I've become a big fan of listening. I'll definitely listen now. Before I was like, I'm okay. Now I'm like, okay, you tell me what you think so I can get some analysis on this. We don't know if the Social Security Administration is truly running out of employees because they're just not properly training them, or they're not hiring them, or they're firing them too often. We don't know. We know within the next 12 months, there will be a new commissioner in. The SSA will be run by somebody else, and we'll know if the SSA was purposely being derailed. Do I think it was being derailed? No, I think Commissioner Martin Malley made a lot of amazing changes that we have nowadays that should have been done a decade ago, even farther back. I think he's done a lot of really great stuff. But this official notice, effective immediately, says that you're not getting into a local field office without an appointment unless you are one of those individuals that's a military person, terminal illness, etc. My point to you is this. The barriers to entry to get access to people who can answer questions about your problems with these benefits, they're shrinking. You're no longer able to get as easily an answer or directly an answer when it comes to the benefits you deserve. Why do I have a problem with this? I have a problem with it because we've all spent a massive amount of our money that we earn on Social Security benefits. So we're talking 16, 17% of every check that we get through payroll sent to these trust funds / the SSA / the IRS for the purpose of Social Security benefits. I don't think putting the American people in a situation where they can't go in and talk to somebody about the massive amount of money that they paid in is the right move. Now, if you remember, and I do because I did a huge video on it, President Biden, in the very, very beginning, before becoming president, as part of his White House pre-White House website, said, okay, he said the Republicans want to get rid of the local field offices, but he wants to keep them, and he doesn't want to restrict them, and he wants them to be open to the people, and he wants people to be able to go in and talk with somebody face to face about their problems. This is ironic because, as a counter to it, now at the very end of his presidency, we are getting the exact opposite of that. Instead of open to the public, better customer service, we're having more restricted customer service. Now, why is this a move that they have to do? They're at a 50-year low. They're working their way towards a 60-year low, which is absolutely horrific. It doesn't make sense how they just can't retain employees. So here's what's going on in my mind, so you understand where I'm coming from as an attorney that directly interacts with the SSA every day. It doesn't make sense to me, even if the wages are low, but the benefits are decent, even if there's a lot of training, and there's systems that oversee people, and they've got to achieve certain things within a certain amount of time. I still don't understand how the Social Security Administration can be this low on employment. They do have enough money to hire enough employees, right? Giving them more would be great. They could hire even more people. But that's not really the problem, is it? The problem is they're not having enough people, even though they have enough money to hire enough people to at least get a baseline back to where we were, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So my question is that I don't understand. All right, I get it. They don't have enough employees. I get it. The employees that they're getting, a lot of them are, coming from college or to be fair, and I'm going to say it, and some of you are going to go, oh, why'd you say that? How could you say that? I'm not going to bullshit on, and I'm not. This is the reality. Some of them culturally come from an area, a lifestyle, whatever, that is not conducive towards a lot of rules, regulations, and systems inside the SSA that you've got to learn and perfect and do, let's call it like it is, perfectly every single time. If you have a corporate entity and you take 5 individuals, some are culturally going to be amazing at, going and being in a music video, or going and working on a farm, or going and doing something with a tractor. And then some of the other people are going to be great at the corporate thing. They're going to understand that their bosses are watching them constantly. They're going to feel like they're under the knife of having to not say something that would upset somebody. Some people can deal with that corporate bullshit identity squashing kind of existence. I deal with it all the time. The disability judges, I have to, hey, they're the kings. They're the queens. The imperial force of judges. Non-adversarial, supposed to be, but hey, you know how that is. So my point to you is this. How do they not have the ability to hire enough people? Do you see the job numbers? Do you see how massively it went down? You see how they blamed it on a hurricane? You see how they blamed it on, it was, I think people could just use with some vitamin T from the government, some truth. So my question is, as to what I don't understand about this particular thing. They were supposed to, and literally, I printed out this other thing over here, right here. I was supposed to do the script based off of this website that had, and they were saying, starting Sunday, December 1st, 2024, they were going to go ahead and no longer accept walk-ins. And then another website said starting December, 31st, they were no longer going to go ahead and take walk-ins at the new year. What's amazing is that there were all these things out there, but the SSA jumped the gun. And they jumped the gun, in my opinion, because Martin O'Malley, at the end of this month, will be leaving the Social Security Administration. Now, here's my theory as to what's going on. You can tell me I'm wrong. You can be like, no, obviously you're absolutely way off. How could you say that? Yada, yada, yada. Okay, here's my theory. The Democratic Party, DNC, you guys know what it is, has a problem. They do not look good. They lost the House. They lost the Senate. They lost the president's White House desk. They lost all of it. They don't look good. And the agendas they were pushing were not something that were consumable by the American public, in large part. Now, of course, you look at the map. You see the cities, you get Democrats. You see everywhere else, literally everywhere else, you get Republicans. So I then go back to the idea of this. The DNC promoted Harris, got rid of Biden. Why didn't Harris work? Harris's message was not easy and straightforward to understand because she had to draw from lots of different communities that disagree with each other. Whereas the Republicans, they kind of draw from, 5 or 6 main communities, and they all somewhat kind of, wedged together. So what I'm realizing with all this is that the Democrats, they went full push into the identity of how do we go ahead and change the face of America? We're going to change the face of America. And in that ideology, right, was, changing how people view gay, changing how people view trans, changing how corporations hire people, changing how corporations go ahead and have integration of, racial opportunities and, female boosts, but, from a trans perspective, etc. But in the underlying functional aspect of it, they lost connection as Democrats with the earning people, right? The earning woman, the earning man, the earning, they, them. They lost connection with those people. Those people are poor now. Middle class is poor. They don't have the money. They don't have the savings. It's gone. So then this rotated over and over into a new situation where the Democrats were saying, okay, how do we get people to vote for us? Well, they have some things. They have, right? They have the gay community. They have the trans community. They have women who want to, have choice over life. Obviously a great battle there. They also had the idea of civil rights, not in the traditional sense of what we had back in the day, but with this modern new face of it, right? But inherent in that, they promoted ideologies that were anti-Jewish, anti-white male. And so what happened was you took these entire groups of people and made them feel completely disconnected from the civil rights that they felt that they deserved. The white males were probably looking for just, neutrality. Let's, not being prejudiced against. Although, to be very honest and fair, I felt very prejudiced against by the Democratic Party. I even had friends send me these things where they were saying, hey, just when you vote, don't vote like a white person. And I sat back and I was like, God damn, that is racism just right out in the open. You know what I mean? Like that's you go back to the 40s in World War II, they were right out in the open, just like that. And so then those groups, and my friends were literally in my ears, because I got a lot of, what I call extra liberal friends. I tend to be middle left as a person, but keep in mind the political spectrum keeps, the left is now you take a ball and throw it as far as you can, and then you pick it up and throw it 40 more times. That's how far left it goes. So what I've realized with this is that the Democratic Party is looking at this and going, we just pissed off the Jewish population, the African American population, portions of the Latino population, the white male population, gone. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but the white male population went full right side. They went full. There was, what I mean? There's very few people living in that left arena. Very few people. You have some gamers, you have some, individuals that are part of the LGBTQ community, but the rest, they went full right. And so what's interesting about it is that I feel like the Democrats needed to find a new way to reconnect with those people they just basically insulted, basically threw away. And that's what it was. I felt like the Democratic Party had thrown away white people. That's what it felt like to me. It had gone so extreme with some of their pictures and some of their advertisements and some of the things that I felt like there was no way that I was ever being represented by that group. There was no connection there. There was they tore it from me. And so what happened was when I looked at this whole situation, I realized that the Democratic Party is now looking for a new leader that can try and get these groups back on board. Because they lost country people. They lost white people. They lost them as voters. Now, if I were to say to you, let's say 20 days ago, that the DNC would have a new leader, I would de facto say to you, without a doubt, that new leader would not be white and they would not be male. I would de facto say that because that is the direction. I would say it would probably be a female Muslim that would be leading the DNC going forward. Right? That's what makes sense. Still, that's what makes sense to me. But now, Commissioner Martin O'Malley, knowing that Trump is going to fire him, is transitioning, he resigned, to potentially lead the DNC. And so what I've realized from this is that as a result of this transition, the DNC is trying to reconnect and reestablish a connection with, basically the groups that they lost. And the number one group that they need the most, votes back from are white people. That's it. That's the biggest group. That's the biggest chunk. They want as many of them to vote for them as possible. So that is what, to me, is occurring here. The DNC knows that they've got a problem. Because for at least 2 years, right, the House, the Senate, the President, it's all on one side now. All new judges, all on one side now. Right? So if you were thinking which way is the political thing? It's full tilt. It's going full tilt Republican. There's no a little full tilt Republican. So inherent with that, what I'm starting to believe is that the DNC has to reinvent itself. Now, where will they go ahead and try to focus their aim? Well, they've got to work on Social Security benefits because the DNC knows that going forward, it cannot push the same agenda that's always been pushing. For the past couple of decades, the DNC and the Democratic, higher-ups have pushed the identity of just taxing the rich. Well, the rich ain't going to pay it because when you throw an event, both the Republicans and Democrats have rich people as speakers because they're the people who paid to make that whole event happen. They put millions into the pot and the piggy pays them back. That's how it works. That's how the piggy banks of politics work. So what that means is that the DNC needs to figure out which new groups it's got to collect. It's not going to get Christians. We know that, right? It's not going to get, standard white males because they just threw them under the bus, right? So it's got to shoot for Social Security recipients, right? That are, older people, right? Because the younger white males, they're not coming back. That's, once they got, Joe Rogan, once they got that type of mentality and they got that viewpoint, they started to see how things were working and they started to view women differently and they started to realize that they have spent so much of their life trying to obtain a woman. And then women were saying, I'm not a thing. And then guys are saying, yes, but I want that thing. And women are saying, yes, but you can't collect me. And then the guys are saying, yes, but I'm territorial and I want to have a family and a wife and I want to make money and support that. And she says, maybe, maybe not. Right? Because let's call it like it is. Younger guys in their, teens, 20s, 30s, even early 40s, they don't know where the future of being an American family is going to be. We know that the idea of having a family had huge social status back in the day. Massive, massive, massive social status. But now people can't really afford it. And so when you can't afford it, you're not making new kids, which means the whole social security system will collapse. Because there's not enough new babies being born to be taxed to pay for the retired. That's it. That's like the most simple way you could view it. So what this means is that ultimately at the end of the day, okay, the DNC has to find a savior. They have to find their own messiah, their own, whatever you want to call that person. They have to find a new leader. And the new leader has to be able to get farmers on board, has to be able to get roots on board, country roots, likely has to get a voting bloc back on board, which is the white voting bloc. And I think that's why potentially Martin O'Malley is being chosen to roll with that, particular position. I think that Commissioner Martin O'Malley has done an amazing job. He's changed so many things in the right direction that supports the American people. But in the back of my head, I do question, why can't they find people, retain them, train them, and get them working? Because to me, there's a lot of people looking for a job. And yes, they're going to get a certain amount. And yes, a certain amount are going to leave. And yes, they're constantly watching what the people are doing. And yes, I get it. It's a lot to learn. But to be fair, if it's a lot to learn, why aren't their computer systems more hyper-automated to do those functions? And I understand they're working towards that, and they're adding AI, and they have a whole new AI resource since 2023. I get all of that. But my question is, how are they not able to go ahead and keep more employees? You really can't blame the independents or Republicans for that one. You can't. I mean, I'm sure you'll come up with something at some point. Somebody will, and they'll say something. But I just don't understand how they're literally losing that many employees that fast. Now, to be fair, the main issue that creates this problem is a bad economy. The bad economy does not allow for people to work at jobs that don't pay them enough. So anybody getting a job nowadays is not trying to go by what their heart wants to do. They're not trying to go by what feels good to them. They're trying to go by what is going to earn them the most money to be able to survive. Everybody's in survival mode, even the rich. And that's something a lot of the poor don't even think about. The rich have super expenditures, and then they got to figure out what they're going to get rid of, how many yachting days they're going to reduce down to, just like the poor have to figure out what's the cheaper cigarettes they're going to buy and what's the food that they're going to get from the homeless center. Everybody's going through the crunch. So what I think is interesting with this situation is that Martin O'Malley moved the date forward. He moved it forward to go ahead and not allow regular people to just walk into a Social Security field office without an appointment. And to me, this is a maneuver so that over the next amount of time, because remember, he's effective immediately today, the 21st, instead of basically, which was originally set by, I think most of the websites agreed, December 1st. So he's doing this around 10 days early. He wants those extra 10 days to show a massive spike in how many people could go ahead and, properly interact with somebody, like the wait times in the actual field offices. So over the next 10 days, he's got 10 days of measurement where basically it's going to spike to show that everybody was able to be seen in so much amount of minutes, right? So instead of having to wait 30 minutes, an hour and a half, everybody for the most part will be able to be seen within 5 minutes. So I think what we're seeing here is the DNC, the Democrats in general, are looking at the Republicans and saying, crap, the Republicans have all the power. How are we going to fix this? We're in a hole. And the Democrats are saying, we need somebody who is going to fit the mold of what used to work for us. And let me explain what used to work for them, okay? Bill Clinton, right? Some of the stuff Obama did, right? That worked for them. So they're trying to mimic that model and recreate somebody that will do that. Somebody who's good at giving speeches, somebody who connects with people, somebody who lays the blame on the government, not the people. That's Commissioner Martin O'Malley. And that is why I believe the DNC is setting him up for a presidential run against, whoever's going to be up in 2028 to go ahead and make the run. And I think that realistically, the Republicans will have it in their suitcase, their briefcase, to either be really smart and throw as much resources as they can at the Social Security Administration, fund it properly, make sure it's got all the technology it needs, find ways that we can put investments like massive oil sales into the trust funds, right? Have buy-in options where people can actually increase how much they pay in taxes to be able to retire earlier, right? You ever think about that? People should have an option where they can pay in more money in taxes and then retire at 60 instead of 62, and so on and so forth. But the point is, the Republicans suck. They suck at Social Security reform. They're just so terrible at it. Now, if the Republicans were smart, they would go ahead and figure out a way to fix the Social Security trust funds, administration, hiring, firings, get that all rolling in the right direction. Because then they will retain the 70-something million votes for it. But to be fair, I'm not sure how many Republicans are actually even looking this way. And to be fair as well, 70 plus million votes, that could change an election. That's a huge amount. All right, so the bottom line is this. I'm going to go ahead and swap to the next video where we examine Martin O'Malley in front of Republicans and Democrats, talking about the finances of Social Security and what the future and direction of it is going to be. Now, obviously, he's taking a step back. He's accomplished what he's accomplished, which was very good. But he's taking a step back now because he's setting himself up for the run for president. And like I've said many times on this channel, and many people agree with me, and very few disagree with me, the road to the White House has never been paved with bricks from the Social Security Administration. So he has to jump ship to a position that will equate to that. And the SSA has never been that. Please remember to like and subscribe. We got about 199 likes in here, 542 people present. I will catch you at the next video in about 10 minutes. And then, of course, after that video, I will go live to answer questions for free, as I always do. With that said, please remember to become a member if you want. Also, head over to Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida on Google. You just type that in. Throw some stars up on the board if you enjoy the videos or if you learn something new or you're considering something that we've talked about. Also, on Monday and Thursday, I go live to answer questions for free. And if you have a bigger question, there's a mini contract below that allows you to buy an hour, a private session in between my hearings where we go over an issue that you're currently having. Okay, so for example, if you want to transition from work to disability, if you have a CDI unit following you around, stuff like that. All right, I will catch you at the next video shortly. I will see you in about 10 minutes, and I will put the next video URL in the top chat area and the chat section right to the right. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. We'll go from there. Attorney Walter Hnot. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.